Thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Repa FM. My name is Amechi Anapwe. We are here to give you updates on political stories and analysis as they concern our political and economic development. My colleagues are here, Adeba Boduri, Kunla Adewale, Vetia Vanabulo Semuabu. On a day, indeed, Nigerians are still grappling with the realities of the new Electoral Act 2026. Civil society organizations meeting yesterday. Some provisions as contained very controversial, very strange, if you ask some people, such as limiting the period INEC must be giving money to conduct election from 12 months to 6 months. And you wonder, why will someone not want INEC to collect money ahead of its preparation? Why limit it to within 6 months? Do you want INEC to fail? You want the election to be shambolic? INEC had already asked for about 900 billion, and they may not get that money till 6 months to the election. But in Abuja is area council election, 6 of them. Is going to be a test for the political parties in Kano, a state assembly election, 2 seats in the state House of Assembly up for contest. And so we'll get our colleagues to weigh in. Adeba Obori, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Amishi. Good morning to Kunle, good morning to Teve, and good morning to Agulu in the studio. And good morning to our listeners out there, wherever you are listening to us in any part of the world. And to our viewers on YouTube, I also say good morning to you. You see, it bothers me when we are supposed to be making progress and what we are inscribing in capital letter underlined is retrogression. Yes, no matter what you may say, no matter who is there, the electoral body sanctioned by our constitution to conduct election in Nigeria in the Fourth Republic is INEC. And so it's not this issue of releasing money to INEC, it's not now. It started during Obasanjo regime. It look around as if those in INEC must go cap in hand, begging those in the executive arm of government to give them money. And there has been clamor since 1999, when this thing started, that INEC must be a first-line charge. That if that kind of law is perhaps what I was expecting in the new Electoral Act. But the way and manner the law has been passed, to satisfy the interests of those in power today,
who may be in opposition tomorrow,
is what we have witnessed. So it is a sad thing that we still reduce INEC to a beggar. That's the way I look at it. Even when the money is up, when even the period stipulated, if those in authority, in power, are not satisfied with those who are there, or they have not been able to extract a pledge to satisfy their interests, that money will not be released. And that is not how society grows. That is not how we want to deepen our democracy. That is not how to create electoral credibility. And the word independent in the electoral body in Nigeria, this is the first time since the first electoral body, ECN, Electoral Commission of Nigeria, was created immediately after the post-colonial era.
Okay.
This is the first time we have the word independent included in the electoral body, Independent National Electoral Commission.
In the Constitution.
In the Constitution. So when we have an independent body, it must be independent in operation. It must be independent in a manner that nobody take decisions that will curtail his.
So what we are seeing Kola Adewale also and Abulo Semuagu and Teve is that we are using acts of parliament to curtail the independence of INEC. For instance, in the 2022 Electoral Act, INEC has 12 months to begin preparations based on announcement of results and all that. INEC has a longer period, 150 days, for parties to send in their list of candidates. In this Electoral Act, all this period have been shortened.
Well, good morning, Amici and my colleagues. Good morning to all our listeners and those who are viewing on YouTube. Thank you for being there, because without you, there's no us. Well, INEC is in a peculiar situation right now. And I see the reduction in the number of days in the new Electoral Act that has just been signed into law as one that will force INEC to hurry in preparing for the 2027 election and subsequent elections if that act stays as it is. And sometimes
it's already a law.
Well, yeah, if the act stays as it is, I'm saying if it stays the way it is, if it's not amended before the 2031 elections. Now, when you hurry, sometimes you are prone to mistakes. And elections in Nigeria are already problematic enough. We do not want INEC making any mistakes whatsoever. Now, there was something that Deborah Bodrin talked about, which resonates with me. And you know, I've always talked about national interest above personal interest. When we make these laws, we should think about posterity. We should think about the fact that, look, I'm here today. Will I be here tomorrow?
Certainly.
We should think about what we want to bequeath to the next generation, to the children we are training now, whether you are sending them abroad or you are training them in private universities and secondary schools here in Nigeria or in government-owned schools. There is a future. Will the future forgive us for what we're doing now? Are we doing right by Nigeria? These are questions that I think are critical for those in position to make that.
That's if you are appealing to their what do you call it?
Their conscience.
Their conscience. That if they have any. If they have, but whether it's sensitive or insensitive.
I believe every human being has a conscience. The question is whether you are listening to your conscience,
yes,
or whether it has been seared with a hot iron. That's a different question, but we all have conscience.
Yeah, we'll have to raise the issue.
Yeah, Amici, good morning. Good morning, my colleagues. If your child is beginning school at 6, you don't wait until he gets into school before you start the gestures, before you start teaching him how to move the first steps, before you start teaching him how to say, Daddy, how are you? You have already planned that by 6 you begin school. INEC, there's no excuse for INEC. The day the last election ends, that is the day preparation begins. We have had issues here where contractors are going to look for their money. INEC should start preparation 3 years ahead of the election. The money released
immediately after the declaration of the results for the last election.
You begin preparation
for the next one should start.
So there's no excuse whatsoever. So I don't buy the notion that because the Electoral Act said money will be released 6 months before an election, so you will not prepare. No, INEC will be shooting itself in the foot. In the feet, or what? How I put that my English teacher?
In the foot, yeah.
In the foot.
Shooting itself in the foot.
Because
so how do you prepare with that money?
You prepare ahead. I mean, you prepare budget. Budget. That's what we're talking about. Budget is one of these most. I think about the second most important.
They have their budget already out.
No. Good. So
what about the laws? What about the laws too that stipulate timelines for these things?
Release of the money.
To talk about that too.
So the INEC, they already have their budget. There are banks that will be ready to loan money to INEC.
You want INEC to be borrowing money?
It's already a law.
INEC collecting money. INEC become loan seekers.
As I said yesterday, it's already a law. The president has signed. Our president has signed.
Yes.
He's not an APC president. What do we need to do?
No, he's a president elected under the APC platform.
He's our president.
Yes.
Yeah, whether APC is there or not. He's our first and foremost our president now. So what I said yesterday is, how do we go forward from here? It's already a law. Until 2031 or so, that's when that law can be amended. So should INEC now say, oh, people not.
So you can lend money to INEC?
If I have, I will.
Okay.
Because I'm sure over 800 billion is there in the coffers waiting for me.
Okay, let's have Teve. And Teve also, I want us to, there is a vacuum that has been left, but I expect INEC to try to cover this vacuum when they publish rules and guidelines for the conduct of the election. Because the Electoral Act 2026 says, if IREV fails, electronic transmission of results fail, you resort to
manual
fiscal collation of results, manual collation. Now, the key issues are, how do you determine electronic transmission has failed? Is it when there is no network or when the bandwidth is low? Or is it when the electoral officer refuses to transmit saying there is no network? Is it when there is a glitch? Is it where? Because if we don't determine this on election day, voters will say we have finished voting, transmit, and the presiding officer says there's one problem or the other. You know what could happen? Confusion. And when confusion enters, anything can happen. I want my guest yesterday on our sister station program, Focus Nigeria on AIT, says he fears for the lives of electoral officials because if you don't adequately convince voters that there is a problem with electronic transmission and you want to do manual, they may not be kind with you. They may visit you with violence.
Amechi, good morning to you. Good morning, listener. The electoral officers we are talking about are not from Niger Republic, Benin Republic, Chad, or Ghana, or anywhere. They are all Nigerians. And that fact being clear means that we expect them that they will do what is right. Yes, I agree with you that it should be specified in the guidelines as to at what point, and all of that. But again, you remember yesterday I raised it, I said, it's the responsibility of people, because most times, most of them, when they vote, they go back home, and leave the rest to the politicians, to handle, address, and all of that. But we expect that the needful will be done. An electoral officer that would want to say that there is no network, most probably such a person has been compromised.
Wow. And voters may react angrily.
So, but an electoral officer that is a Nigerian that is not compromised should be able to, and because that network is the same network every other voter there has. Maybe somebody else has network A, another person has network B. There's no way in a polling unit where 500 to 1,000 persons are registered that you won't expect that all the GSM networks in Nigeria that everybody would have the network. So it's expected that INEC will also understand, because in my village, for instance, there are some networks that if you take them there, they may not work for you. In fact, I had to get a second line because that particular network in my village, if I'm there, I can make calls, I can receive calls, data, and all of that. So I expect that INEC will understand. Their IT people will map out all these places so that the network they are taking, if they're not using all the SIM cards or whatever network for all because what we do in broadcasting, for instance, is if we are taking out an OBIT equipment, we put all the SIMs, all the SIMs, so that whichever,
we'll put like 3, 4 SIMs,
so that whichever network is available,
we transmit.
So
that's what INEC should do to save the neck of their electoral officials.
So, but if their device does not have provision for all the 3, 4 networks, they should be able to map out in those places. Like in my village, if they consult me, I will tell them which network is working, because if they put any other network, believe you me, 24 hours, 48 hours, 1 week, you will not be able to transmit anything. So that should be taken, so that we avoid those avoidable sins that you are painting and all of. And on the issue of funding, I have not seen the copy of the 2026 Electoral Act, but I want to believe that the provision is not necessarily that government should wait till 6 months. The provision will most probably be that the money should be released before 6 months. So the money can be released before the 6 months, but by the 6th month to the election, not later than, by the 6th month to the election, every money INEC needs should be given to them. And if we want to rely on the 2022 Electoral Act, by now INEC should have already had money for the 2026 budget has not been passed. Remember, when this issue of funding 1 year came up, it was because it was at the time when Buhari government tried to have the, what's that thing called now, the January to December budget setting. But as it is now, we're already heading to 4th month. I think the National Assembly has put March something or so to pass the budget. So we're already 3 months, that January to this end. So already would have committed is it a crime now by that 1 year, because the money would not have been released going by even the 2022 Electoral Act, as it were. But just like Abulu mentioned, we expect also that INEC's prepare, because I know, for instance, that there will be election in 2031. INEC knows, and going by their guidelines, that by the 3rd week of February, with this new law, and most probably they will come up with new set of guidelines, and all of that can also specify when we should expect elections to hold. So I expect that by 2025, INEC would have budgeted part of what they are going to do. 2025. Okay, they would have budgeted what they are going to do. I'm surprised. But I think what Nigerians should be talking about are the items that are in that budget. I'm surprised that INEC is going to spend about 200-something million to buy beavers. And they told us in the 2023 election that they bought more than enough beavers, that almost there were extra beavers. And I can't remember when there was so much fire that all those beavers have been destroyed, that you have to buy new beavers. They said they are going to buy battery. For those are the things that are in that budget. I think Nigerians should be looking at the items in those budgets. If we're talking of 6 months to election, what should be left should be the allowances of the electoral officers who will be involved, most probably printing of the ballot paper, and not major things that INEC will need
from what we have. Yes, civil society, they are insisting that the government must publish the Electoral Act as signed, because we have not seen it.
We need to see it.
By today, it should have been out.
Yes.
If they were quick to send it to the president in less than 24 hours to sign, they should also be quick to gazette and release the details.
Press should have.
Yes, but before you go ahead, what the provision says, the new provision, the old provision is election funds must be released to INEC at least 12 months before the general election. Now, this one has reduced it to 6 months. What's the headache of the...
No, before, at least. Which means you can release it before.
No, that's what is implied. Yeah. That's what is written here. There's spirit and letter of a law. The letter says before, it could be 2 years. But the spirit, the spirit behind it. Wait, I'm coming. You know the spirit. You know the idea behind it. That's how you want to be evasive. Not just this one. Not just this provision that attempts to strangulate INEC, tie his hands. It's like you ask your son to go to a farm, give him hoe and a digger, and you tie his hands and you expect him to farm. Now, there's another provision. Political parties must submit candidates list to INEC within 120 days. Before it was 180.
That's so 4 months.
Yeah, why did you shorten it? Because if you do it early, INEC will have time to prepare. Candidates will have more time to campaign. Why are you shortening the period of campaign? Why is it necessary? These are the explanations they must have given. Now, INEC must publish candidates list 60 days before the election. Before it was 150 days. So all the days have been reduced. And many people have interpreted it to mean that they are planning for INEC to run into logistic problems, run into operational problems, and they don't want INEC to be efficient to conduct the election.
Don't saying that, yes, they are entitled to their opinion, yes, and it's good that they've raised those issues. But we also need to understand that, look, if the notice of election has been shortened from 1 year to 6 months, it only means, logically, that you cannot have the 180 days, the 120 days, and all of those days that you have. Those other days also have to be reduced. You need to observe what happened in 2023 election. The parties had about 6 months to run campaign, but none of them launched their campaign until about a month or two. APC, PDP, Labour Party, and the rest. There are some states that their candidates did not visit. Because if you have a longer time for campaign,
the National Assembly have said because they refuse to campaign.
If you are ever involved in an electoral project, you will understand that the longer time you have for campaign, you means you are going to spend more
money.
Is it the headache of the National Assembly how much I spend? So is it your money I'm spending?
If I spend,
is it your headache? Should the transmission not be your headache? Why should the money I spend? Are you giving me the money?
If by
these three informations, and I think it's necessary to us. One, people, my colleagues have talked about, are they just purchasing beavers? The new national chairman in his first consultative meeting that the beavers they are going to use in the next round of elections are being upgraded. They are being, or it was emphatic, are being upgraded to ensure faster transmission of results. So so the issue of talking of whether they are buying new beavers, I think that one has it.
He has three items.
Secondly, the issue of campaigns, I don't know why it should become a problem. I keep on referring to Second Republic because as a young reporter, I covered that era. The presidential candidates campaign for 1 full year.
So that we have let's have town halls everywhere.
They visit all the local governments. All the local government.
When
So
$1 was $1.
this one of telling now complaining they are spending money.
Yes, you see your money. I ask again.
The issue is that they are the one like Zig said when the media was criticizing him and they said to take the newspapers to court. He said, I sat quietly in my room, in my house. I said, I will no longer participate in politics. Then I broke that rule. I came out. He said, I've lost my right to privacy. So it is your duty to carry your burden of campaigning and look for the money. That is good. The third issue is that just as incidents form were misused in a whole state in this country in 2015. They which one replaced?
They discarded carrier and resorted to incidents.
So we might witness the same situation where in some states result will be transmitted.
Yes.
In some other states
It will not be
never
transmitted.
That's
So
what
they
you are having unfair. There is a spirit of unfairness in that process.
So that's the spirit
Yeah.
that Adebayo Badore is the Balogu, and he went home during last Christmas, and he communed with the ancestors. And he's speaking from the spirit. Tell me, speaking from the letter.
Let me provide this fact.
Go home
Let me
and commune with the spirit.
let me
so that you speak.
the law was not made with the spirit. Let me provide this fact. INEC's budget provides that, the upgrade, which he's talking about on the technology and all of that, INEC is going to spend 162.5 million. Purchase of additional beavers devices. I said 200 and something billion. I was wrong. It's 163.2 billion that INEC plans. Million. It's billion. No? Billion. That's what is there. Billion. But beavers is in billion. The upgrade that you are talking about is in million.
Yes.
So you can see the difference and why some of us are raising issues.
So
now you have to need to dissect that project.
You raise the issue. What I'm seeing now is that apart from tying the hand of INEC, they will descend on INEC to scrutinize budget. The same way we don't scrutinize how much we spend on Estaco for the president and those in the national in the to travel. The same way we don't scrutinize the billions the president spent without a national assembly.
Let me quickly add this.
Yes.
Let's be careful how we scrutinize the budget. We want them to perform. We want them to come out excellently.
Thank you, Lord, for my birth.
We talked about the e-transmission and the issue of reversal to manual.
I thank you, Lord,
How
for
many
today.
technicians have INEC provided for us? Each polling unit. Have INEC